Bright colors. Hi, everybody out there. It's been at least, well, it's been almost a year since I've recorded a video. And we're coming up on Yom Kippur. Starts this evening. I'm on the west coast of the United States, so it's only about 1 o'clock here. And so it hasn't yet started on the east coast. In Israel, I think they're already doing it. So it just, I had something, an untold story that I want to tell you today. Something that I don't think I've ever shared publicly. I don't think I've ever written about it. If I have, and you remember seeing it somewhere, maybe you can remind me. But I think maybe I've told maybe one or two trusted friends who I knew if I told them what had happened in my life 20 years ago, that they would not have, decided that they didn't want to listen to me anymore. And that's the chance that I'm taking today. But I realize that to go forward, this is something that I just have to share if I'm going to move forward with the work that we've been doing together for the last 20 years or so. So here we go. Okay. If you've been to my website, metaphysicsforlife.com, and you read about me, okay, what I have been sharing publicly with people, and it's true, that when I was a young girl, even 6 or 7 years old, I heard from my father. Oh, here comes the UPS truck. Hopefully they'll figure out to just leave the package by the box. Okay. Um, we'll keep going. Hopefully we won't get interrupted. So when I was a little girl, and as you know, my father was a Holocaust survivor, one of 9 children, and only he and his little brother survived. And being his daughter, I was always, interested. I wanted to know his stories, of where he came from, who he was. That's natural, that's normal. And I would hang out with him in the garden, eating, sugar snap peas and and things like that. And he would tell me what happened. So, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I know that there is this thing, what's it called? Epigenetic or whatever. Anyway, the bottom line is when you're little like that and you hear stories like that, it's not like you're just hearing the story. When you're that age, your brain actually experiences it as if you've lived through it yourself. And so I had the opportunity to have the experience of being like a Holocaust survivor, as if I went through it myself, and yet to grow up, in a normal middle class neighborhood in Detroit and have a nice life. So it wasn't until I got divorced, just around the age of 40, that I discovered that I had PTSD all my life. And then, if you go and you read about it, that led to, some spiritual awakening and eventually the discovery of the what I called heart compass life navigation, but I prefer to call it creating a mind with heart. And that was something that was given to me when I was going through the divorce and all of this was happening. I just wanted a way to heal this PTSD. I was told it can't be healed. You just have to learn to live with it and all of that. And one morning I woke up and this life navigation system, I didn't call it that at the time, was full in my head. And I just went and bought a few materials and started doing it. And after a year, I was like, whoa, I have to teach this to a few other people and see what happens. And I did. And then after I started having some results with that, then I felt like, okay, I can, I can open this up and actually, share this with more people. And I did. And I don't know, thousands, many thousands I know that, well, I don't know, millions of people have visited the website by now, and I don't know how many have actually practiced the LifeNav system, but I know that it has helped a lot of people. And there goes the UPS truck. We really need to trim the trees in the driveway. Okay. Thanks, dude. All right. Okay. Excuse me. So that's the public story. Okay, and I just wanted to recap that because I'm going to tell you the Untold story today, and I'm doing this live because if I didn't do it live, I might not upload it. I'm not sure because this kind of, a turning point, and people are either going to accept what I have to say or they're going to say I'm out of here. And for me to go forward, that's just what I need to do. That's just the direction that I have to take at this point. Okay. So I'm going to go back again now to the time when I was getting divorced, when I was, turning 40, all right? And I don't remember how, but at that time, I became close friends with a couple of Christian women. And these were practicing Christian women, not just, born Christian and, oh yeah, I'm a Christian because, I was born into a Christian family, we went to church, and so yeah, I'm Christian. Not like that. These were real Christian women who studied the Bible and practiced what they were practicing. But what I found out was that they were interested in me being Jewish because they observed the Jewish holidays. And I was like, what? What's up with that? So I remember that they all came over to my house. We celebrated Passover together. And I'm telling you, it was the most meaningful Passover I've ever celebrated or experienced in my life. Bringing, bringing the Messiah to the table at Passover. Like, I'm sorry, but it changes your life forever. I know it changed mine. So, I thought, okay, they're observing my holidays. I'm going to go for Easter. I'll go to church and see what this is like, too. And I was at the Nazarene church. I'm not sure what that is, but beautiful, beautiful church, and a lot of people there. And this was, 20 years ago. And so we're here with all these families and, children and everything, and it, a beautiful service and everything. But then they did this reenactment, okay, of this man who, this young man was playing the part of Yeshuah, Jesus, and carrying the cross on his back, and coming down the aisle and going on the stage and being crucified and, and all this. And I'm like looking, there are children in the audience. And I just was like concerned. I was like, should we really be traumatizing? To me, it felt like, are we traumatizing children? Because I had gone through the experience of hearing about the Holocaust when I was a little girl, and why do we need, to do this to our children? So, so at the time I had in my purse or in my pocket, it was probably in my purse, I don't remember, I had just bought a new cell phone, and this was 20 years ago. I wish I could show it to you. The cell phones we had 20 years ago. They had push buttons on them and all that kind of stuff, and a little screen, which would just have the phone number and maybe a name of who was calling you. So, of course, I had it on vibrate, not ring, and it vibrated, and I looked at it, and all it had on it was 10 numbers, okay? 999, 999, 9999, okay? And no name or anything like that. I'm like, what? And so I let it go. I thought maybe they'll leave a message. There was no message. So after the services, I tried to call back, and it was a non-existent. There was nothing there. So I was wondering, what is this about? And what I got was this inner guidance, because I was starting to get inner guidance at that time because I'd been using life navigation, which creates a mind with heart, which connects you to source. Okay, so you start getting this strong intuition, the inner guidance. Okay, and the guidance I got was, go home and get get the dogs. I had two beautiful dogs at the time. I miss them so much, and take them to the dog park. And I took them, loaded them up into the truck, took them to the dog park. And the dog park where I live in Ashland, I don't live there now, but I did at the time. And it's a gorgeous dog park with a creek and all of this, and trees and big lawny area. And there were a lot of people there. So I take the dogs down the creek and let them in. And then the voice in my head said, look over there, watch this. So I was looking out over the lawn to all the people and the dogs playing. And then there was like this effect happened where, I don't know if you've ever seen in a movie where the person stays like this, but everything behind them kind of pulls away. And that was the effect. It was like I stayed where I was, but it was like everything pulled away. And then I could see, this is so hard to describe, because it's not just seeing it, it was like feeling it. Like these waves of, all I can do is call them energy. Now maybe I'd call it plasma, light, I don't know. But all these colored, you know, waves of energy going through and into and out of and connecting everybody and everything. The people, the trees, the grass, the dogs, the sky, the everything, okay? And I'm like, whoa, what is that? So then I was guided to go to the bookstore, and I purchased a book called The Field by Lynn McTaggart. And so I was able to get like a scientific, explanation, all right, which is not the same as the experience that I had. But it was kind of a scientific explanation of the field and how everything is connected with with this energy. And okay, so this isn't the way I thought the story was going to go, but I'm being guided here a little bit to take a little detour, because years later, I was where I'm living now, and I did a lot of meditating. It was a lot quieter here. There's a lot more traffic now than there used to be. And I mean, honestly, I think I could hear the hum of the earth. It was just so peaceful and quiet, and I could sit out and meditate and get very tuned in. Received a lot of guidance at that time, did a lot of writing. Um, but I was sitting there in front of a tree, and the voice in my head said, "So you want to know how all of this is made, right?" And I'm like, "Sure." And said, "Open your eyes." I did. And the tree in front of me looked like it was made of glass, and it was clear like a vase, okay? Like, it was glass. It was clear, right? And imagine if the glass is water, and then, or I mean, imagine if the glass didn't have water in it yet. Um, that's how the tree looked. And then it looked like these balls of light flowed into the form of the tree. And then these balls of light were inside the tree, and then all these little balls of light turned themselves inside out and became opaque, solid, like you see, in the trees. And I've taught about that. I created an entire course in 2017 that explained how all of this is made, and how the world, is structured. So, but let's get back to the story, okay? So at the dog park, had this experience and saw how everything was connected with these waves of energy. Everything was, there's different colors and frequencies and all of that. And I go home and, take care of the dogs and do this stuff, this and that. And then that evening, I'm in my living room, and I get this very distinct feeling like somebody is there. Not a scary feeling, but a good feeling, that somebody is there. And I turn and I look, and standing in a spot which would more or less be the center of my house, okay, at the very center of my house. And it was a small house. I've always been a kind of a tiny house person. And there was like a being there, standing there. And it was not scary or dangerous or amazing being. And I knew immediately, okay, and this is the branching point here, okay, where either you're going to stay with me or go, okay, I'm done with this lady. I knew immediately that that was Yeshuah. Okay, now called Jesus. All right, and I knew that, and I knew that the numbers on my phone, 999 at the Easter services, had been a wake-up call, a message, okay, coming from Christ, Yeshua, okay, and and he had told me to go to the park and see how things were made, and then there I was in my living room, and here's this guy. He wasn't solid, okay, and he didn't like really move or talk to me, but communicated telepathically, and it felt perfectly normal and fine, nothing weird or freaky or anything like that. Um, and oh gosh, sorry, I'm feeling a little nervous now. So there he was, and he said, and he wanted to tell me, because I'd been, he felt like a brother to me, okay? I'm Jewish, he would feel like a brother. God would be like the father, okay? And so I felt perfectly comfortable. I'm like, hey, dude, what is up with this? What is, because my parents, had gone through the Holocaust, and, what was this with Christianity, and what really happened? And he wanted to tell me. And so this is what I heard, okay? And basically what he said was this idea of, and the relation to Yom Kippur, okay? The whole reason I'm telling you this is because Yom Kippur in Judaism it's called the Day of Atonement. And it's supposed to be once a year where a high priest goes into the Holy of Holies in the temple and makes a sacrifice and, blood on the altar, and asks for forgiveness for all the people, and that they all be written in the book of life for another year, okay? And that we be forgiven. And what you're supposed to do when you're Jewish is treat that day like a Sabbath, not work, not do anything, just kind of fast and be in prayer for the priest. Well, rabbi. We didn't call him a priest at that time. We call him a rabbi. Um, and so now we have Yeshua, okay, who sacrificed himself as the high priest, okay, and shedding his blood, okay, so that all of humanity, okay, could be written forever in the book of life. And so the way that it's looked at then in Christianity is that, he suffered and died for our sins so that we could be forgiven, in a way that's very true. But we're getting to a point now where we can understand a little more of the technology, the technology of what he said, what he told me he did, okay? And I'm sure that even what he explained to me is probably a simplified version of what really happened. But what he said he did 2,000 years ago is he came to the earth to create, to be the Christ, to be the connector, okay? To create that gateway in the heart, in the human heart, so that every human being could have a direct line back to God, even in this 3D illusion of separation, that we could still connect and communicate directly, each one of us, okay? Because without that connection, without that communication, there's nothing. Um, when when you look at the Hebrew word for sin, what it really means is mistake. And what happens is when we don't have this direct connection to source, to God, to the Creator, we make mistakes, okay? Because we're out here floundering, trying to, decide what to do on our own. And mistakes are made. And that's what sinning is. So here comes a big truck. Sorry. I'm a little nervous. I'm going to drink a little water. So, what I was told, Yeshua told me, is that that's what he did. What he did, sure, he was a rabbi, he was a teacher too, but when he was on the cross, and the last words that came out of his mouth was, "It is finished." Okay? It is finished. It's done. All right? In that moment, okay, it was done. He literally became that connection. He said, only through me do you go to the Father. And he's not just talking about, you can't just read the Bible and learn the stories and the lessons of Christ and just say, therefore, I'm through him connected, and forgiven, and so on and so forth. There has to be that direct connection through the Christ in the heart. And that's what he became, according, that's what he says. And so my first reaction to that was, but if you did that 2,000 years ago, what about all the people who lived before you? And he said, time's not linear. We know that. We know that now. Time is not linear. He said, what he created, it had to be done at that particular point in space and time, but space and time is not linear. It's, you can move through space and time, and we're approaching that. There's already plenty of humans now who they call it remote viewing, but they can get themselves in a state of consciousness and move awareness to different points of space and time. And I know I've done quite a bit of that myself. It's real. So do it yourself. You'll know it's real. So I'm here, sharing this now because, and now that I've told it, I feel a lot better about it. Okay, I was like, oh my gosh. But what I'm hearing now, when I'm seeing Christians celebrating the Jewish holidays, and also they're saying more and more that our connection to God is through the heart. It's in the heart. It's in the heart. And so I really think that this is a time when people are beginning to wake up and realize that, whoa, we really do, each of us have this own connection to God through the heart, and it's through Christ, and it was created by this dude who lived 2,000 years ago, in 3D reality anyway, and did his job, did what he had to do, and yeah, and made that technology for us so that here we are. So how does this relate to Yom Kippur? Well, Yom Kippur, I think, is going to evolve into a holiday, and it already is. I'm seeing Christians and even Jews who've realized who Yeshuah really is and what he actually did. That Yom Kippur is going to become a holiday where we celebrate and acknowledge that, that we have this connection in our heart straight to God, because one of us, Yeshua, did what he had to do at the time and created that technology. So, one thing I forgot to tell you, I've got chills going up my spine now, is that he came back to me one more time. Okay, he told me that story, and then there was one more time he came back, and it was also in the evening. And he just said one thing. He asked me, he said, I want you to help me create a mind with heart. And I'm like, let me write that down. So I turned around and wrote it on a card and stuck it on my, board in my office. And then I turned around to talk to him more, and he was gone. That was it. So that was the only message. Create a mind with heart. So that's what I focused on for a while. And, there's a hummingbird. A hummingbird likes my story. Oh my God, it's so cute. And that's the last, that's the last time I saw him. That was the last message that I received from him. So, yeah, that's what happened. And that's, and the reason why I didn't want to tell that story, oh, the sun just came out, wow, was that I just wanted to teach people a way to, to heal from trauma, to be able to connect directly to Source, to God, and maybe, find these things out for themselves instead of me, telling them. I don't want you to believe this. I want this to be your own personal experience. I want you to get it straight from Source. And what I'm finding is that I think this mind with heart, a mind with heart is connected to source. It overcomes the illusion of separation. Um, and, the perception changes. It changes our perception. So, and also, when we talk about the mind, we're not just talking about the brain in the head, okay? Mind is all of the space and time that contains all of the thoughts and feelings and ideas and images that create this experience of illusion of separation. So there's just one more thing I'm going to share with you. Just one more thing, and then I'll let you go because it's almost half an hour already. Um, One thing that I've been trying to share and trying to teach, and not really sure how to teach it, but now that I've told you this whole story, maybe within this context, it'll mean a little bit more. But when you create a mind with heart, remember I told you about the tree being like glass and filled with light that turns inside out, okay, so that you have the solid, all right? That's only part of the creative process, all right? There's another step in that creative process which we have been separated from, and that's a long story. I'm not going to get into that today, but that got cut short, okay? And it's akin to, when you see things when you're with your eyes and there's a 2D image at the back of your head. If we perceived at that level, if it stopped there, then we would be living in a 2D world. I can't imagine what that would be like. But your brain takes that information and creates this 3D holographic experience for you. So, what's the point here? Um, so you got that, you go to that point, but there is another step. And that step is to send this 3D illusion back through Christ, okay, to God, to Source, because we can't do this ourselves. We absolutely cannot do this in 3D. It has to go back to Source, to God. And it gets turned right side out again, okay? And so, sometimes you see these movies, like they're often, kind of new age, or sometimes they're Christian, I don't know, where they say, our perception will change, and they'll do special effects in the movie or the TV show, and everything is glowing, all right? It's kind of like what I saw. I was given a glimpse of that at the park, all right, where everything is glowing and you can see all the connection and the energy and all of that, but it's not so disconcerting that you can't function in it. I mean, it was just a glimpse for me, but we would be able to live in a world like that where everything is turned right side out. And when that happens, then I don't know, that's what we call heaven on earth, all right? I'm not even sure if that's a good enough explanation of it. But the way to do this, and it's really, really simple, okay? What I was shown to do, what I was told to do, is just to breathe through the heart. And you have to have a coherent heart. And if you don't know what heart coherence is, just go visit heartmath.org, all right? Learn how to create heart coherence, okay? That's the first step. And you have to what you do is you just send your perceptions back through a coherent heart, and it's kind of like a Ho'oponopono, and just say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, or you can just say, please take my fear-based beliefs out there and replace them with your, meaning God's source, love-based truth. And what happens is, as you breathe it in, it's like there's kind of a feeling of, take this that I don't want, I'm sorry, please forgive me for creating it. And then it gets turned right side up again by God, by Source, and then, and you just breathe that out into the world. So that instead of just leaving the earth created in this inside out, upside down stage, which we've been kind of stuck in, okay, it gets breathed, and we don't perceive the process in our brain, okay, where we see in 2D and then it gets turned into a 3D holographic reality. We just experience this. So what I'm saying is that right now we're still in a state of consciousness where I'm consciously breathing it in and breathing out love-based truth, okay? And I I'm pretty sure, I'm told, and I believe it, that we are approaching a time in human consciousness where this will be, we won't have to think about it. That's just the way reality will be. And instead of being an inside out, upside down world, it's going to be right side up again. And so, and it's because we have the Christ in the heart, okay? Our holy priest, who went to the Holy of Holies and, and created that connection for us. Um, and we have that, direction, that straight connection, you know, to Source, to God. And that's what Yom Kippur is actually about. um, I haven't really heard anyone else describe things, quite that way, but I think I'm going to be hearing more about it. So whoever finds this, um, thank you for your patience. I know, half an hour. I was really nervous about telling this story, but I'm going to move forward now, acknowledging that, that's where all of this came from. I'm seeing more and more evidence out in the world. I know it's crazy right now. It's, September of 2021. And yeah, hi. And we all know what's going on in the world, but it's a big, wake-up call. And the next few years are going to be very interesting. Um, all right, well, I don't know. I just felt like I had to tell that story today. Good Yom Tov. Yom Tov means good day, so I just said good day. um, if you're celebrating Yom Kippur, um, maybe think about what I told you today. It's my experience. Maybe you can relate to it and maybe not. And thank you so much for being here and spending the time. All right, then. I haven't done this in a while. How do you turn it off? Thank you. And I hope to see you more often now. I was told to stay away during this crazy time, that there would be plenty of people who would be, helping and telling the truth and all that, that was not my role. And my daughter said that, maybe you should start teaching life navigation again, creating a mind with heart. I think people are really going to need it now. And I agree with her. And so that's what I need to start doing moving forward. And so I hope you'll see a lot more of me in the near future and that I won't be gone so much. Okay, then. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.